Mama Chioma sat on the bench outside her son's new house. She was 72 years old. She had raised Adekono alone after his father died. She had sacrificed everything. And now, she was sitting outside, waiting for him to let her in. He finally appeared at the window. Not to let her in. To tell her to leave. "Mama," he said, his voice cold in a way she had never heard before, "my wife doesn't think it's appropriate for you to stay here. We have a new life now. A new status. You understand?" She didn't understand. She understood that her son had become someone else. Someone who could look her in the eye and tell her she wasn't welcome in his home. "Where will I go?" she asked, her voice small. "That's not my problem anymore," he said. And he closed the window. Mama Chioma walked away from that house with nothing but the clothes on her back and a heart so broken it might never heal. She had no money. She had no home. She had given her entire life to a son who had decided she was an embarrassment. But nobody understood the full cost of that rejection. Nobody knew what came before it. Nobody knew the sacrifices she had made, the love she had given, and the cruelty of the woman who had poisoned her son against her. And nobody knew what was about to happen. What the universe would do to a man who abandoned his mother. What karma really looks like. Let me take you back to 1985. To a small house in Surulere, Lagos. Chioma was a young widow. Her husband, Adekono Sr., had died from illness, leaving her with a 3-year-old son and debts that would take a lifetime to pay. She was beautiful then. Young. She could have remarried. Rich men came to court her, offering security, comfort, status. But she refused every single one. "My son will grow up knowing he comes first," she would tell people. "He won't grow up thinking his mother needed a man more than she needed him." So she worked. She worked 3 jobs. She was a seamstress by day, a cleaner by evening, and a street vendor at night. She was never home. But everything she earned went to one place, her son's future. When Adekono was 5, she paid for his primary school. When he was 11, she paid for secondary school. When he was 18, she had saved enough for university. By the time he graduated, she had given every naira, every hour, every ounce of strength to his education. And he became someone. A banker. Successful. Respected. He made good money. He was building a life in Lagos. And Mama Chioma finally thought, "I can rest now. He can take care of me now. I can finally live." For 5 beautiful years, he did. He brought her to live with him. She had a room of her own, the first real home she'd had since his father died. She cooked for him. She kept his house. She finally experienced the reward of her sacrifice. She finally had a son who honored her. Then he met Ifeoma. Ifeoma was from money. Old money. Her family owned properties, ran major businesses, moved in circles that Adekono Sr. had never dreamed of. She was beautiful in the way wealthy women are, perfectly maintained, expensively dressed, trained to see certain people as less than. And when she saw Mama Chioma, she saw a problem. An obstacle. A reminder of who Adekono had been before he became someone worthy of her. Ifeoma was brilliant in her cruelty. She never said, "I don't like your mother." She said things like, "Your mother is so exhausting. Doesn't she need her own life? It must be so hard for you, having her always here, always needing you." She never said, "Your mother is poor." She said things like, "Your mother's clothes are so simple. And the way she talks, it's not bad. It's just so different from what my family is used to. I'm not judging her, I just notice how uncomfortable it makes people when we're entertaining." She was a master of the sideways insult. The gentle dagger. The kind criticism that cuts deeper than any cruelty ever could. And Adekono, who had never heard his mother criticized before, started seeing her through Ifeoma's eyes. He started noticing his mother's worn hands. Her simple cooking. The way she moved through the house like she was afraid to take up space. Things he had never seen as problems before suddenly became embarrassing. "Mama," he said one day, "maybe you should think about retiring. Taking it easy. I hire someone to help around the house. Mama Chioma understood what was happening. She could see the distance growing. She could see her son being pulled away by a woman who saw her as competition. Adekono, she said to him quietly, I've given everything for you. And that was my choice. But please don't let anyone make you ashamed of where you came from. Don't let anyone make you ashamed of me. For a moment, she thought he heard her. For a moment, she saw the old Adekono, the boy who had loved her completely. But then Ifeoma appeared in the doorway, and his face changed. The old Adekono disappeared. The new Adekono, the one that belonged to Ifeoma, returned. I can't live like this, he said. With you criticizing my wife, with you trying to make me feel guilty. I'm a grown man. I have a right to my own life. He had never criticized her. She had never asked him to feel guilty. But in his mind, poisoned by Ifeoma, this is what he believed. And he believed it because it made him feel less guilty about what he was about to do. The rejection didn't happen suddenly. It happened slowly, one small distance at a time. One dinner where he didn't talk to her. One night where he didn't ask how she was. One argument where he chose Ifeoma. And then finally, one day when his mother was told to leave. And she left. She walked out of the house she had raised him in, carrying nothing but the evidence of his betrayal. Mama Chioma had nowhere to go. The house she had lived in before marrying her husband was long gone. She had no siblings who could take her in, they had died or disappeared over the years. She had no money, she had given it all to her son. She had no one. She slept on the street for 2 nights. An old woman, 72 years old, sleeping on cement, eating food from garbage cans. The irony wasn't lost on her, she had given everything so her son could never go hungry. And now she was hungry. On the 3rd day, a neighbor from decades ago found her. She took her in. Gave her a small room in the back of her house. Fed her. Bathed her. Did for her what Mama Chioma had done for thousands of people her entire life. Your son will come back, the neighbor kept saying. He will realize what he's done. He will come back. But he didn't. Weeks passed. Months passed. A year passed. Mama Chioma never heard from her son again. He had erased her completely. It was as if she had never existed. She got sick. Her body, worn out from decades of work, finally gave up. She was thin. She was frail. She was dying slowly, and her son didn't know. Her son didn't care. And then something unexpected happened. Something that Mama Chioma could never have predicted. Life, it seems, doesn't forget when a son forgets his mother. The universe has a way of balancing things. Of making sure that cruelty comes back. Of teaching people what they should have already known. Adekono didn't realize what Ifeoma was until it was too late. She had married him for his position, his respectability, his earning potential. But once she had him, she wanted more. She wanted access to his accounts. She wanted control over his money. She wanted him to invest in her family's business, a failing business that she kept pouring money into. She wanted him to sign over his properties. She wanted everything. And when he tried to resist, she played the victim. After everything I've done for you. After I brought you into my family circles. After I made you someone. As if she had given him anything. As if she hadn't just taken and taken and taken. He discovered an affair. Ifeoma had been sleeping with a business associate for years. She didn't even deny it. She said, "You should be grateful I don't leave you. You're lucky to have me." He discovered embezzlement. She had been transferring his money to accounts in her mother's name. Hundreds of millions of naira. Gone. Stolen. He hired a lawyer. He filed for divorce. He tried to get the money back. And that's when Ifeoma showed her true face. She showed him what kind of woman she really was. "You have no proof," she said. "And my family has better lawyers than you. Better connections. Better everything. You will lose this divorce. You will lose everything. And you'll never see it coming. And she was right. The divorce was catastrophic. Adekona lost millions. He lost the house. He lost his reputation. Ifeoma's family used their connections to smear him, to question his integrity, to make him seem like the villain. By the time it was over, he was bankrupt. Broken. Alone. And in his lowest moment, sitting in a small apartment he could barely afford, with nothing left but the wreckage of his life, Adekona thought of his mother. He thought of her face when he told her to leave. He thought of her 72-year-old body walking away from the home she had earned through sacrifice. And he realized, he had chosen this. He had chosen a woman who was using him over a woman who had loved him. He had chosen status over honor. He had chosen wrong. Adekona started asking around about his mother. It took months. But finally, someone told him where she was. Not in a nice house. Not with him. With a poor neighbor, living in a small room, dying. He went to find her. He was nervous. He had no right to be nervous. He had abandoned her. He had betrayed her. He had hurt her in ways that couldn't be undone. But still, he was nervous. When he walked into that small room and saw her, thin, aged beyond her years, her face lined with suffering, he broke. He broke completely. He fell on his knees and he cried. "Mama," he said. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I chose wrong. I chose her over you. And I was a fool. I was a coward. I was ungrateful." Mama Chioma looked at him. And then she did something that broke him even more. She forgave him. Not because he deserved it, but because he was her son. And a mother's love doesn't have conditions. "I never stopped loving you," she said quietly. "Not for one day. Even when you abandoned me. Even when you treated me like I was nothing. I never stopped loving you." He brought her back to his small apartment. He got her medical care. He sat with her every single day. He cooked for her. He cared for her the way she had cared for him his entire life. He tried to make up for lost time, knowing he never could. She lived 3 more years. 3 years of her son finally honoring her. 3 years of her being cared for. 3 years of knowing, before she died, that her sacrifice had meant something. That her son had learned. That her love had finally been returned. When she died, Adekona was at her bedside. And he finally understood what his mother had known all along, that love without conditions is the only love worth having. That family is more precious than wealth. That a mother's sacrifice is worth more than any wife's promise. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in Adekona, if you've been ashamed of your family for status, if you've abandoned someone who loved you for someone who was using you, if you've let someone poison you against your own mother, I want you to hear this. There are people in your life who will love you when you have nothing. They will sacrifice everything for you. And there will be people who love you only when you have something. When you have status. When you have money. When you have power. The question is not which one will love you. The question is which one you choose to honor. Which one you choose to believe. Which one you choose to put first. Adekona chose wrong. And he spent years learning what his mother had tried to teach him, that loyalty matters more than status. That family is more important than wealth. That a mother's sacrifice is priceless. He got a second chance. Not all sons do. Some abandon their mothers and never find them again. Some live their entire lives never knowing that the person they abandoned never stopped loving them. Some die without ever saying sorry. So I'm asking you, don't wait. Don't let someone poison you against your own mother. Don't let wealth and status make you ashamed of where you came from. Don't let a new partner make you forget the person who raised you. Your mother, or whoever sacrificed for you, doesn't need you to be ashamed of her. They just need you to remember. To honor. To be grateful. To put them first sometimes. To choose them. Even when the world tells you they are beneath you. Because eventually, wealth fades. Status fades. The people who used you will disappear. And you'll be left with one person who never left, your mother. Or it will be too late, and you'll spend the rest of your life wishing you had chosen differently. The choice is yours. The time is now. Choose the person who loves you unconditionally. Choose your mother. Choose family. Because at the end of your life, nobody will care how much money you had or how much status you achieved. They'll only care about whether you honored the people who honored you. Don't be like Adekono. Don't wait until it's almost too late. Start now.